Welcome to the special edition of the DPW podcast, live from the floor of DPW New York, where procurement, technology, and innovation converge. I'm your host, Bernhard, and today we're exploring the biggest ideas shaping the future of business and transformation procurement as we know it. Let's dive right in. I'm thrilled to be joined today by two procurement leaders who have both been tasked with getting their procurement teams AI ready. So let's explore that. I have DJ and Alex. Alex, maybe I'll start with you. And why don't you just tell me a little bit about your role at TeamViewer and what that actually means to you?
Sure, absolutely. So I lead all of procurement at TeamViewer. I've been doing so for the last couple of years and essentially came in with a mandate to transform the entire function, get it future ready, future proof for what's ahead of us. And that was a pretty intense 2 years now. We called it a rapid transformation program, within just 18 months revamping our entire tech stack. And it feels a bit like we're at a point where everyone's exhausted. And then we recognized, well, good thing we did all of that because AI is just around the corner and we're in the midst of a revolution. So we better well get started with the next wave of this.
Amazing. Now you are a software business. Does that mean you're better prepared than the average company?
I can't say anything else, obviously. As a software company, we are not just AI ready, we are powered by AI and fueled by AI and certainly ready to tackle the future. At least that's what I'm going to say on tape here. No, realistically speaking, we obviously invest a lot of time and energy into understanding how we implement AI in our own product suites. And that means we have quite a number of experts, quite a number of frameworks, and a quite good understanding of what AI can do. Internally, we're trying to make use of that, but the main focus for the organization remains obviously on our own product and how we advance that before we then tackle internal processes.
Super interesting. DJ, you're the digital procurement lead at Invesco. Just tell us a little bit, because you own digital assets, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So Invesco is an asset management firm. So you might think of them as somebody like a BlackRock or a Vanguard. And historically, our top line revenue has grown quite well. And over the past couple of years, that's started to become more stagnant. And so the other way to increase your operating margins is to look at procurement. And so we've they've gone through a bit of a transformation from a people, process, systems standpoint, brought in a new CPO, brought in some other experts along the way. And my role as the digital procurement lead is to help take us into that next step.
Right.
So how do we prepare procurement or get procurement to that next phase to help us leapfrog some of maybe competitors, but certainly help us drive that operating margin growth.
Right. When you say next wave, what is that? Is that a tsunami? People do talk about that things are gonna, move at a speed unforeseen. Do you share that view?
It feels that way. Certainly, right now, we've implemented, three. So I've been there now for 5-6 months, and in that time, we've implemented 3 different systems. And where I'm coming from in the past, one system a year is a lot. And so now we're doing 3 in a very short period of time, where we'll have a orchestration, Intake-Orchestration foundation, and then have a variety of other tools that help us source and as we prepare for collecting more data as we move into the AI phase. But yeah, when you talk about the tsunami, I feel like it's a tsunami right now, and I can't imagine that tsunami is going away anytime soon.
Not soon. Well, I love that analogy, and I'm not sure you can surf a tsunami. But Alex, tell me a little bit, when you talk about readiness, and I'm aware of your Accenture background, so you've helped many clients to transform. What does it mean to be AI ready?
That's a big question everyone's asking right now, right? And I think it's the very traditional people, process, technology in my head, and all of them need to sort of get ready. But before I go there, I really share that sentiment. I think that's great what you just said. It felt like we're doing a tool a year, and my time at Accenture, Accenture is very much known for its affinity to technology and really working with that and accelerating that. But even there, we 1 tool a year, maybe we had 1.5 tools. That was considered, we're really fast now. But same as you, we've just implemented Intake-Orchestration. We've implemented a bunch of supplementary tools around that, and all of that in 18 months. And that's the speed we're dealing with now. And AI is only going to accelerate that. So to get ready for that, I think it's a lot about getting your people ready, getting their mindset ready, but also their skill set ready. So what I mean with mindset is, TeamViewer is a European company. We're based out of Germany, and German angst is something that people have heard before, right? So there's a lot of resistance and fear to AI initially. What does that do? How does that work? Can I trust it? Does it take away my job? So there's a lot of conversation around how do I get the mindset ready, but then also how do I get the skill set of my people there? How do I get them to experiment?
I just love what you said there, but I wonder how to get the mindset ready. And in fact, I picked up something in your profile. You talk about your personal purpose, but you also talk about playfulness. How do that go together?
I think right now in this age, and I think we've seen it here in several of the presentations about creativity and being willing to be playful in that creativity. Go out and learn, be determined, be willing to make those mistakes. What's interesting is you talk about being an AI first company. We are not necessarily an AI first company. We're fairly risk adverse, and we're getting there, slowly but surely. And I would say by and large, our population at Invesco tends to not be as digitally savvy. We've done things this way for a long period of time. We're going to continue doing things this way for a long period of time. Well, that's not going to hold, much weight as we move into AI, and especially as our competitors move into AI. So I feel what you're saying in that mindset and that shift to be playful with AI and figure out okay, what can this really do for me? Starting in those really small increments of, just get in, you could even just go to, ChatGPT and just figure out I'm going to write a prompt and just see, what it can do. And then how can I take this one step further and one step further? It's almost, to me, it's almost the 1% better each day.
But that's where you come back to the skill set again, right? People trying that out in ChatGPT, that's fine as long as they know, don't upload sensitive information. And equip them to be ready to do that experimenting. But then it can be really powerful. The imagination is really can be very powerful.
Yeah, and that's what I think where this creativity piece is. There are essentially no bounds other than being you want to make sure that your data is protected and those types of things, and doing things intelligently, but if you have a business problem, there's a pretty good chance that you could leverage AI in some form or fashion to help you solve that business problem.
Fascinating. There were a few things. I'm trying to unpack this. So you're saying think big but start really small. Yes, the angst is there, let's feel it, but you're going to face in being curious and playful and start in small increments. Start with yourself. It's funny, yesterday I was actually hosting a panel and I asked people where they thought they were 10 out of 10, and the majority was 1 out of 10 in terms of the personal journey. So how can we get this going? So if you focus on the human element for a second, how do you prepare your people to get them actually experiment and do it? What's your approach?
I think for us, some of the people, I've literally sat side by side with them and just walked them through the process, where they might not be as digitally savvy or digitally ready to jump into this. So they kind of at times don't know where to start. And so they'll ask me questions, and now I've kind of, I guess, had the reputation of, well, go to him and he can help you get started, and then I'll just sit with them and walk them through until they understand what they can do. I want to be careful with that because I want them to be creative and not for me to be the one that's showing them how to be creative, because I can't do that. But I want them to think and understand the basics of, here are some of the things that you can use and can really help the AI can be your assistant. There's no reason to have some of your spreadsheets and do some of the data analysis that you do manually.
Right.
You can put this in and really
it's about them understanding the capabilities of what AI could be doing, like on a very capability by capability way of thinking about it, and then piecing it together and being creative with it and creating solutions and use cases. That's really what then needs to be the creativity coming out of the team.
Great.
You can only equip them to that.
Yeah. Do you share the vision that some people have that this is the last generation of leaders that have only humans reporting to them? So are you looking forward to be the leader of a hybrid workforce?
You go first.
I think we're well past that for a few years already. I mean, just walk around here, walk around DPW, and I think first DPW was about 5 years ago in Amsterdam, if I remember that right. Even back then, there was a lot of talk about automation and tools. Sure, it wasn't as sophisticated as what we now see with Gen AI and some other things, but generally speaking, we've been working human plus machine for a lot of years already. And if you sort of widen that horizon a little bit and don't just think about technology in the sense of a SaaS software, like most of us think of it today, and really just much broader, we've been working alongside machines for half a century. So I don't think it's that different. It's just a different pace, it's a different set of capabilities, and it's understanding a little bit different how it works and how it comes together.
I think on my end, it's exciting because there's endless possibilities, but because there's endless possibilities, that's also scary too. Because you're like, okay, what really does this mean? What does it mean for me? And the best way that I know how to approach it is just to lean in, try and understand it the best you can. And there's a lot of these things. I'm not going to change them myself, so I've got to figure out how to change with them. But to your question of leading robots, I think we're going to have to get comfortable with that. And to a degree, like you've said, like we've always had machines in some form or fashion. Whether that's tractors in the field that are working for us that are no longer our animals, plowing fields or whatnot. So it's that next evolution that we have. So certainly, we're going to have to become used to managing some sort of agents or multiple of agents.
As with every other employee or machine, it's all about understanding what the capabilities are. What can that digital employee of mine do? What are they good at? What are they not good at? Where do they keep making mistakes? And if you understand that, you can put them in the exact right space to really complement your overall setup and operating model.
What's the purpose? What's the why for each one of those?
Yeah, exactly.
Love that. What's the why and what's the value we're trying to create? Let's pivot to one other topic because it came up in a lot of discussions, and people often assume AI can just solve everything and start anywhere, but data comes up a lot. In your view, what is required from a data perspective? Do you have a philosophy? It's been talked about for many years, right? We have the chief data officer in place. Are we not going to have a chief AI officer in parallel? How's that going to work?
Yeah, I don't know. From a data perspective, obviously data is the key. I mean, it's way overused, but the garbage in, garbage out metaphor or saying is really true. But if we take a step back and we think about so number one, what is our organization structure? What's our organizational identity? Then what's our functional identity? And what do each of those mean for AI capabilities? And then what are within that function? What do we want to solve, and what data do we have available to be able to solve that? And if you don't have that data, can you get that data from somewhere else? Like probably many other companies, our data is not awesome, and we need to continue to make that better. And I think that will happen over time through refinement and through proper governance. But yeah, certainly we need to have the data is going to be key for us as we move forward. And if we really, like I talked about earlier, if we want to really have that leapfrog moment, that data foundation is really everything for us.
Fascinating. Alex, there's historic legacy data and maybe not in the quality. Then there is the data that gets generated over time to see the pattern. So where would you start? Would you start with a goal in mind, or do you start cleaning data that you have?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 different thoughts there. First one, like what you just said, it's really more about what's the outcome I want to achieve? What's the use case, right? And working backwards from the use case, what is the data that I need to get me there? What are the individual fields, the data points that I need to support that? That's one thing. The second thing is, how do I make sure I have access to that data? And access means it's got to be all in one place, right? You either have a central data lake, or I'm pretty sure it's no coincidence that you implemented intake and orchestration, because at the end of the day, what these tools do is they combine your entire stack and make sure that you have access to every individual solution that you use and the data that it produces in one place. That's the ideal foundation to work with it then on an AI basis, right? That's part of why we did that. And then the third element is, I'm really not supportive of cleaning up historical data, because at this point we're moving so fast. If I now spend 9 months, 12 months, 18 months cleaning up my historical data, I'm already, again, 18 months behind what everyone else is doing. I'd rather focus on capturing clean data going forward and capturing exactly the data that I need. And again, we're back to intake, orchestration, and that actually allowed me to do that.
We talked about data, we talked about mindset, people. What else, in your view, are the big challenges people need to think about in getting ready?
To me, like that organizational change is just such a big aspect to it. It feels like everything else is deprioritized next to those, and having just that mindset of, I'm going to be curious, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to explore, and I have dedication to try and understand something that is foreign to me. I don't know. Do you have any other additional?
I think what we learned is we really need to make sure that we focus and don't get distracted. And that has something to do with figuring out who's doing what. If now everyone in the organization at the same time focuses just on AI, and that's how we're going to look at this, then we have, in our case, 1,800 people working in AI and nobody working on anything else.
Right.
That's not going to get us anywhere. So we need to find a setup that works in terms of dedicated, focused people, but then also continue to have people in all their other functional areas, even within procurement, right? I mean, for years we've been talking about ESG and sustainability. That's gotten on the back burner. If you walk out there, the halls of DPW today, there's 3 solution providers in the sustainability space. The last few years, it's been 20, 25 different ones. So the focus has shifted, but I don't think we as organizations, we really can afford to lose sight of other objectives like sustainability. We still have net zero targets for 2035. That's 10 years away. So just doing AI is not going to do it.
So how do you do that? How do you take, if everybody's not focused on it, and I understand the point, but how do you separate that out? And how do you make sure that you're saying, this is our AI governance, and everybody is staying informed along the way in their own individual silos? I found that just to be so difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we've solved it necessarily. But the idea being, you have a cross layer that an AI as an enabler for all other functions. You can use AI to solve your sustainability challenges, right? So that's the one layer, but then you also need the deep functional expertise on how do I make AI work. It becomes sort of a matrix, but I wouldn't say we're there yet.
Nice, fascinating discussion. I'm sure we could go on and on, but if I think what we discussed here, it was wide-ranging. There is definitely a transformation, but AI is not the end, right? There's, why are we doing this? I think, DJ, you made that point. You also talked about playfulness. You highlighted, Alex, the importance not to get completely absorbed by just think about AI. It's like, why are we doing this and how do we approach it? It's definitely, I think, a tsunami, maybe combined with a whirlwind, and people don't know what's coming. I'm sure we'll need to come together again and explore, but I wish both of you best of luck in your journeys. And thank you for these really interesting, amazing insights.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Great.